it's Carrie here from the Female Entrepreneur Association, and welcome to another weekly dose of inspiration to build a successful business. So, lots of entrepreneurs are in fact workaholics. Even though we start a business to live a life we love, to have more time, to have more freedom, so often we get stuck in this rut where we feel like we have to work crazy hard in order to have this amazing life. And that leads to burnout, and then we feel rubbish about everything, and then often we end up feeling like we're not good enough. Well, if you hear me on this and you're sat there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm a workaholic, or you're feeling like you're on the verge of burnout, then do not worry, because we are joined by the amazing Rachael Cook, who is the founder of the Yogipreneur.com, and she's going to share with us how you can start living a life that you love right now. So Rachael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Carrie. I'm really excited to dive in because this is one of my favorite topics to talk about.
I love this topic because I feel like every single entrepreneur knows what it feels like to just be a workaholic. And I was reading an article that you wrote recently, which is all about your experience of this. And as I was reading through it, and also I'll share the link actually for everyone to read because it was absolutely brilliant. Because when I was reading through it, I was like, I do this, and I resonated with all of it. And I was like, I know what this feels like. And there was this thing that you said, and there was this one part which I wrote down to talk about, because you said, I was building my business as an excuse for not living a life that I really loved. And when I read that, I just thought, that is so true. We start a business so that we can have this adventurous life, so that we can have this freedom and we can do this cool stuff. But then it becomes the reason for why we can't do it. If we think, oh, I can't go on holiday, or I can't do this because I've got this business there that I have to, it's like a ball and chain around your ankle that you have to be there, you have to work hard. And so that we do turn into these crazy workaholics, and we'll write out all our goals and our to-do lists. And then it's like we think when we reach that goal, all of a sudden we'll then live the life that we love. But then you get to that goal and it's like, well, what's the next thing? And what's the next thing? So it's like this cycle that goes round and round. And it happens to so many of us, doesn't it?
It does. And this is just a rampant problem in our society in general. We're all very future oriented. We all have something we're working towards, and that drives a lot of us. But the problem is you get there and then you think, well, what's next? Well, what's next? And so instead of enjoying any of the journey, any of what you're really value right now in your life, you kind of keep putting your life on pause so that you can keep achieving and keep achieving. So this personally is like my own life's work. It's to balance my ambition with the things that are really important to me. And it didn't really come into clear focus for me until I had kids. But having kids really laser focused a lot of this for me. I knew that I have these dreams for my business. I have all these people I want to serve. But at the same time, I have these precious little people, and I have a very limited window with them until suddenly, they're in college. So it's really important to me. And I think to a lot of women especially, we don't want to miss out on our life. We don't want to wake up and suddenly we're like 60 and realize we don't have relationships with our kids, or we don't have friends that we're deeply connected to, or we haven't experienced all those things. I don't want to get to the end of this career and still have a huge bucket list. I want to have a bucket list that every year I'm like, this is what I want to do for fun, for play, for adventure, for love, and just really enjoy every part of the journey, as well as, the reaching and striving for these goals.
Yeah. So like you said, so many of us do live in the future. We're living for that next goal, for that next thing. And then when we get there, that's when everything's going to be sorted, which obviously really isn't true. So what can people do to stop doing that, and so they can start living a life they love right now?
I love this. And, I've got really a condensed version of 3 of my favorite pieces of advice for you guys. The first thing is, start thinking about what elements of your dream life can you have right now. So the problem I see a lot is, if you guys are anything like me, you probably have like this dream board, this vision board of all the things you want your life and your business to look like in the future. Yeah. And as a result, you're constantly putting these things on hold because you think you have to achieve some certain milestones before you can have that, or even more, before you feel like you deserve to have that, or you're enough to have that. And the truth is, you can probably have a lot of those things right now in the present. Even if it's not the full blown out version of it, you might be able to integrate it into your daily, your weekly, your monthly life. So for me personally, I knew that when I start to get in this workaholic mode, the things that I tend to forget about enjoying every day are things like just having time to have a glass of wine with my husband on the sofa and have a conversation, or just taking the weekend off and sitting in the hammock and reading a book while my kids are playing in the backyard. Those things are so easy to overlook. But when I look on my dream board, that's what I envision my life looking like when I'm successful. I can have those right now.
That's such a good point.
What can you have right now that you don't have to wait until you're successful? What can you integrate into your life right now? And it could be even scaling some of those dreams back. Like, so one of my dreams is, as I'm building out this team and this business, that I'll be able to have retreats with my team and take them all to some really cool place, and we'll spend time talking about the business and how we're going to grow and how we're going to serve more people. Well, I don't have that huge team yet. I don't have the budget to take anybody on a huge retreat, but I can take myself on retreat. I can find a cool place on Airbnb and spend 3 days by myself on a business retreat. And I've done that, and it's amazing. So there are things you can do right now that you don't have to wait for. And I encourage everybody to look at what can you bring into your life and your business right now so that it's more enjoyable and more fun and really fires you up about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
The next thing that I think is super important, especially for women, women are naturally givers. We naturally just want to take care of everybody and keep giving and giving and giving. But the problem is we stop taking care of ourselves, or we don't have like somebody doing the same thing for us that we're doing for someone else.
Yeah.
So self-care is so important. And this is beyond just going and getting like a pedicure every couple of weeks. I think that's the, surface level of self-care, is just a little bit of pampering. Self-care is so much deeper than that. It's really about, reinvigorating yourself, re-nourishing yourself so that you don't get to the point of depletion, so that you don't get to where you've been giving and giving and giving to your clients, your business, your team, your husband, your kids, your dog, whatever. And then you have this empty well. When you get to that point, you're burned out. You're not really able to serve anybody anymore. So it's important to really have a self-care practice. And it could be as simple as really, putting boundaries around your time between business and work and play. It could be making sure that when you say you're taking weekends off, you hide your cell phone, even if it means, I literally turn to my husband and I'm like, keep this thing away from me. It could mean taking the apps for email off your phone. It could mean, putting clear boundaries in place with your clients, saying this is when my office hours are. If you need me between office hours, I'll respond to you the next day. And I think a lot of women have a hard time putting those boundaries in place. But once you have them in place, you are able to really take that time you need to take better care of yourself. And then you show up in your work 100% better, which is amazing.
Yeah.
The final piece, and it's actually great that I'm talking with you, Carrie, because I think your work plays into this, is surrounding yourself with your business BFFs, surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs who are on the same path, who are doing the same type of thing, because it's easy enough to say, yeah, I have a support system. My friends and family really are cheerleading me on, but they don't know what it's like to put yourself in this really vulnerable spot of being an entrepreneur. They don't know what it's like to basically take your heart outside of your body and put it online.
Yeah.
And open yourself up to failure, to criticism, to, launching something, not having a real guarantee that it will or won't work. There's a lot of, emotional roller coasters that you go through as an entrepreneur, probably more so than any other life experience you'll go through. Yeah. And this is something that I lean on all the time. It's just finding those business BFFs who I can have standing dates with. Even if it's a Skype call, it could be a coffee date. It could be having like quarterly retreats with a few business BFFs, other women in the trenches with you, so that you can say like, here's what I'm struggling with, or I'm not sure what to do here, or what would you do here? What do you see? Because that's a real support system. They understand. And that's completely different from your family saying they support you, but really not knowing what you need in that moment. So finding those business besties, it's crucial to your long-term success. And again, this is not about networking. It's not about finding JV partners.
Yeah.
It's about having an emotional support system and people that you can really lean on.
Yeah.
So all three of those things, I mean, they seem so simple, but if you build them in, and this is the biggest piece, I think, build them in, schedule them in, delineate the time, work time, play time, family time, build in the time that you're hanging out with business besties, put a standing date on your calendar to find those business besties, and looking at your life as a whole and saying, what can I bring in right now that will make me feel like I am not only working towards a life I love, but living some of that right now? Yeah. Suddenly everything changes, and your business, it really does. It sounds woo-woo, but it up levels to support it. Your business suddenly becomes from a different place, and you're able to do amazing work in the world that you really didn't have the capacity to do before.
Yeah, I love those tips. And I love the fact that they are simple, because they are, easy. I don't know if it's the right word, but easy to, we could all integrate them into our lives. And when we do, we make such a huge impact. They make such a huge impact in our lives. And like you said, that the work we can put out there, because we're coming from a different place.
Absolutely.
So it's so important. So thank you so much for sharing them. I am going to challenge everyone to try those 3 things out. Try integrating those 3 things into your life, and leave a comment below and share your experiences on this. Do you ever feel like you're a workaholic? Do you ever feel like you're reaching burnout? What things help you? And also, if you do integrate these 3 things, then come back and leave a comment and share with us how you got on with it and how much of an impact it had on your life. But Rachael, thank you so much for sharing that stuff with us. I'm going to leave the link to the article that you wrote on this, because it's so good. But you should all go and check her out over at theyogipreneur.com. But thank you so much, Rachael, and I will see you all next week for another dose of inspiration.
Thanks. Bye.